The grand hall on the alien space station was filled with strange lights, tall banners, and high-ranking leaders from different parts of the galaxy. Creatures with glowing skin, long limbs, sharp eyes, and even floating bodies stood around a long, shining table. They were here for an important meeting. A special peace talk had been called after many small but dangerous wars between species. Everyone wanted to stop the fighting before a larger war began. Each alien group had sent their best speaker, someone trained in politics and war. Every speaker spoke loudly, sharing ideas and threats. Every voice tried to sound more powerful than the last. But then, the door opened slowly, and one human walked in alone. He wore a simple black suit. He looked calm and serious. No weapons, no assistants, no translator, no smile, just silence. The alien leaders turned to look at him. Some raised their eyebrows, some laughed quietly, a few whispered rude things. One alien with green eyes and 6 fingers leaned toward another and said, "Is that it? That's Earth's best diplomat." The other shook its head. They must be weak if they send only one. But the human didn't react. He stood straight, looked at every face in the room, and sat down without saying a single word. At first, the leaders ignored him. The talks continued. One alien shouted about his planet's right to control trade routes. Another warned that they would use weapons if pushed. A third argued that Earth was too new to understand space law. Still, the human said nothing. He listened, he watched, and when someone looked at him, he just met their eyes without blinking. That silence started to feel strange. It wasn't the silence of someone scared. It was the silence of someone who didn't need to speak yet. A tall alien general with metal skin slammed his fist on the table. "Human," he said, "do you have anything to say? Or are you here just to sit and waste our time?" The human tilted his head, then smiled softly. But again, he said nothing. The smile wasn't friendly. It felt like he knew something they didn't. The room grew quieter after that. Something about that silence was now bothering everyone. The loud voices from before started to drop. One by one, the speakers became unsure. They had all studied Earth's history before, but maybe they didn't study it well enough. An alien historian checked his notes quickly and whispered, "Earth, their wars, they were brutal, but fast. They'd never talked much. They acted." Another alien nodded, "And they won most of their wars by confusing the enemy. Distraction, silence, surprise. That's their way." Some leaders began to shift uncomfortably in their seats. Why wasn't the human speaking? Was this some kind of trap? Was Earth already planning something behind the scenes? The quiet was now louder than any voice in the room. Even the floating lights above flickered as if reacting to the tension. One alien with 4 eyes stared at the human for a long time. "What are you waiting for?" he asked. No answer came. A soft buzz echoed through the room. The space station's system had detected something unusual. A protocol was running, a program written many years ago in case of a very rare situation. One alien technician opened the file quickly. His eyes widened. He whispered to his commander, "Sir, the system is activating protocol silence." The commander froze. That was a secret level of warning created only for human behavior in negotiations. No one had ever seen it used before. But here it was, running automatically, just because the human hadn't spoken in a high-stress meeting. Now the alien leaders began to feel something else. Fear. The human finally stood up. All eyes turned to him again. Maybe now he would speak. Maybe now he would make demands. But he didn't. He looked around slowly, as if measuring every face, every reaction. Then he sat back down, quiet as before. A deep silence covered the room like a heavy blanket. No one moved. No one spoke. Something had changed. The aliens came in proud and loud. Now they were silent, just like the human. No threats. No laughter. Just a question growing louder in every mind. What does the human know that we don't? And somewhere, deep in the center of the space station, a hidden system blinked red. After the strange silence in the meeting room, many alien leaders started to feel uneasy. This was not how peace talks were supposed to go. Usually, there was shouting, arguing, and threats. But now, everyone was quiet because of one human who had not spoken a single word. His calm eyes, his quiet smile, and his silence had changed the whole mood of the room. Some leaders tried to act strong, but even they were now watching him carefully. In a dark corner of the room, an alien leader opened a small communication device and sent a message to his home planet. "Start digging into Earth's military records," he said. "Find anything strange." Within minutes, reports started coming back. One file showed how humans ended a world war in just 6 days by using a silent strategy called GhostNet, where they shut down enemy systems without a sound. Another file showed that human spies had once entered a high-security alien base and left without being seen, leaving behind only one word on a wall: ready. More leaders began to check Earth's past actions. Each one found something shocking. Earth never bragged about its power. Humans did not show their full strength, but when they acted, they always won with quiet moves. No warnings, no talks, just results. One leader, with skin like silver glass, looked up and whispered, "They don't speak because speaking gives away plans. They don't show weapons because by the time we see them, it's too late." Another one nodded slowly. "They speak through action, not words." A tall, thin alien with red eyes opened a deep military file labeled Earth Threat Codes. He scrolled down and found something called Protocol Silence. It was a rare code made long ago by the Galactic Council itself. The code was created after a secret mission where Earth took back a stolen moon without firing a single shot. The air inside the meeting room felt heavy now. The alien leaders, once loud and proud, were quiet and nervous. No one dared to look directly at the human anymore. He sat still, like a shadow, calm and unbothered. His silence was no longer strange. It was terrifying. Everyone was waiting, but they didn't know for what. Suddenly, a soft alarm rang from the wall. A thin red light appeared above the main screen. The station's system had detected something. The sound wasn't loud, but it made every leader freeze in place. The robotic voice of the system spoke again, slow and cold. Emergency code triggered. Classification: red. Protocol silence has reached phase 2. The meeting room was completely silent now. Not the normal kind of silence, but the kind that felt alive, like it was watching everyone, waiting. The human sat calmly in his chair. His 2 words, "Check Earth," still echoed in every alien's mind. None of them expected that Earth, a young planet compared to the others, could move so quickly, so quietly, and hit so hard without showing anything. One alien leader stood up slowly. He was old, with deep lines on his face and silver skin that shimmered when he moved. He had fought in 5 wars and survived them all. But right now, he looked scared. I don't understand," he said quietly. "How can a species that smiles, shares music, and talks about peace be this dangerous?" Another leader answered, voice shaking, "Because we were listening to their words, not watching their silence." Across the galaxy, emergency lights were turning on in many places. Secret alien bases were finding their doors unlocked, their defense systems offline, and their hidden codes stolen. But there were no signs of damage. No human ships, no human weapons, only silence, and systems that no longer obeyed their owners. Back in the room, the human finally stood. He didn't speak yet. He walked slowly to the center of the hall. All eyes followed him. The lights above changed without command. A soft blue glow filled the room, and a sound came from the walls. Not loud, just a quiet hum, like something waking up. The human looked at the screen behind him. He raised one hand, and then he spoke again. Just one sentence. "We do not shout because we do not need to." That voice, it wasn't loud, but it was powerful. It wasn't angry, but it carried weight. The tone was steady, like someone telling the truth without fear. And when he finished speaking, something happened. Every system on the space station froze for 1 second. Screens blinked black. Lights dimmed. Communications cut off. And then everything came back online. But the system had changed. The main control now showed a new icon, Earth's flag. The station, without warning, was now being guided by a hidden Earth protocol. Not taken over, just guided. The alien leaders were stunned. The message was clear. Earth had not come to ask for a seat at the table. Earth had already built its own table, and now everyone else was sitting at it. One alien tried to protest. "This is a power grab. This is control." The human turned his head slightly. "No," he said. "This is balance. You thought Earth was behind, but Earth has already walked this path in silence. We learned from your mistakes before you made them." Another leader asked, "Then why come to this meeting? Why sit in silence if you had already won?" The human looked at them, eyes calm. "Because we wanted to give you a chance to listen." That answer struck deeply, not just because it was honest, but because it showed that Earth didn't want to destroy. Earth wanted peace, but only if it came with respect. True peace, not fake talks and secret threats. The alien leaders looked at each other. Some nodded slowly. Some sat down quietly. A few lowered their heads in shame. The oldest alien, the one with silver skin, stepped forward. He looked the human in the eyes and said, "You have spoken only a few words today, but every one of them has changed the stars." The human gave a small nod. "That's all we needed to do." And just like that, the room began to change. Not with chaos, not with war, but with silence that carried a new kind of power, understanding. Because now, every species knew. When the human speaks, it's already too late to catch up. The meeting room was still and quiet. The alien leaders, once filled with pride and power, now sat in silence. They had come to this meeting thinking they were in control. But in a few short hours, everything had changed. The human had said little, but his actions spoke louder than any words ever could. And now, every one of them understood. Earth was not a weak planet. Earth was not just a new player in the galaxy. Earth was the future. One by one, the leaders turned their eyes to the human, not in anger or fear, but in respect. They had felt Earth's power in its silence. They had felt it in the way their systems had been taken over, not with force, but with quiet precision. The human didn't need to speak loudly to control the galaxy. They didn't need to use weapons to win wars. Earth had proven something that no one had believed, that the greatest strength was not in noise, but in quiet understanding. The human looked around at the leaders, his face calm, but there was a hint of a smile in his eyes. He had done what he came to do. He had shown them that Earth had already moved ahead, far beyond what they had ever imagined. "The galaxy doesn't need more battles," the human said, his voice soft, yet clear. "What we need is understanding. What we need is peace, but real peace, where every species is equal, where silence is a tool, not a weapon, where words only come when we have truly listened to one another." The alien leaders, still in shock, found themselves nodding. They didn't want war. None of them did. They realized now that the peace talks hadn't been about winning or losing. They had been about something bigger, something they hadn't understood until now. A tall, blue-skinned alien, once ready for battle, stood up slowly. "You've shown us the truth today," it said. "We thought we were the ones in charge. We thought we had all the answers. But you, human, have taught us a different lesson. We were loud. We fought. But you have already won without even raising a hand." Another leader, with glowing orange eyes, stood as well. "Your silence was the most powerful message of all." The human nodded, still calm. Earth is not about violence. Earth is about strength and unity, strength and understanding. And yes, strength and silence when needed. The room, once filled with tension, now held a quiet understanding. The alien leaders knew they could not challenge Earth. Not with weapons, not with words. Earth had already won the battle, before it had even begun. One by one, the leaders walked toward the human, each offering a gesture of peace. It wasn't just a gesture of respect. It was a gesture of acceptance. They knew now that Earth would guide them into a new era, a peaceful era, where silence could be as strong as any weapon. The human stood tall, his eyes moving from one leader to the next. Together, we can build a future, but it must be built on trust, not fear, not war. And as the leaders of the galaxy stood side by side, a quiet agreement passed between them. The galaxy would never be the same. The balance had shifted. Earth had shown them the way forward. And in that moment, they realized something else. Earth was not just 10 steps ahead of them. Earth was the one who had already started walking into the future.